Hello everyone, welcome back to Total Football Talk. So we're going to look at the latest news coming out of Manchester United today, and as always, there's plenty of stuff going on, but mainly it's kind of a look back at the game from in the FA Cup in terms of some of the things and the decisions that Rubin Amorim made, not necessarily during the game, but after the game. He went and decided to do a full training session. So we're going to look into some of the quotes behind that, some of his takes on Rasmus Højlund, who is finding it pretty tough at the minute, and we'll look at a couple of other little bits about United. Looking at Gyökeres and Osimhen, and if they can't get them, what is their alternative target? Who else are they looking at? But we'll start off with Ruben Amorim's quotes from the game, which were in the MEN, and yeah, it said, "It's a good thing I will not say one bad word about his this type of performance." He's referring to Rasmus Højlund. He says he needs to understand that sometimes he has a job to do without touching the ball. He cannot get frustrated because the next play will be a situation near the goal, so he has to be calm. And I think what he's referring to there is in the match just on Friday night there, Rasmus Højlund found it difficult in the Leicester game whenever Garnacho didn't cut the ball back one time. He flew down the wing and he took a shot on at an acute angle at the near post rather than kind of putting the ball across the box, because Rasmus was kind of flying into the middle of the box, and I think Rasmus was obviously hoping for the cutback. Now, it hasn't really been picked up on, but you could see Rasmus's reaction at the back post where he was going absolutely berserk, that the ball didn't come across to him and that Garnacho took the opportunity to make the shot that didn't quite, it was such a tight angle, it was never going to work. So it was, yeah, sorry, my kids are singing in the background. So yeah, I can appreciate that Rasmus obviously wants the service. I know there's a lot of debate going on right now about whether, is it the service to Rasmus? Is it the runs he's making? What is it that isn't kind of working for him? And I've seen, other content creators sort of saying that it's, that Rasmus just isn't good enough, or he hasn't got the talent to kind of be a United striker. And I just remember, and I've mentioned this before, but I look back at the days of, I remember Mark Hughes playing up front for Manchester United and Brian McClure and them running out of goals at one stage back in the late 90s, or the early 90s, sorry, particularly the 91-92 season, when United should have won the title and we run out of goals. And I remember Mark Hughes wasn't prolific. He scored some unbelievable goals, very memorable goals for Manchester United, but he didn't score. He wasn't prolific in any way, shape, or form. And I feel like Rasmus Højlund is taking that mantle up, as in he's trying to hold players off like Mark Hughes used to be able to do. But that's not his game. Like, I think he's got to be able to focus on other attributes that do work for him, where he does get the opportunity to run at players. He can hold it up, and I think it's something he can get better with in time, with experience. But if he gets on the turn and he gets running at a defender, I think he can do more damage. He's got to get that into his game, and be more proactive that way, rather than toss him with defenders and having like a wrestling match with him. And I think if he could do that, his performance levels would up a level. But Manchester United have always had experienced strikers to come in, and like Ronaldo, Cavani, even Gallo to a certain degree was an experienced striker. I'm not saying he was the best striker, but he was an experienced striker. Unfortunately, Højlund has suffered from lack of form. He's also suffered from not actually having experienced people around him to be able to help him. And he hasn't had any experienced players to take the burden off him, because we've been totally reliant on a 20-year-old to do the business for Manchester United. And that is one lone, sort of position to play. You don't get any service. You're expected to be able to do a lot. You look back to Cristiano Ronaldo's season a couple of years ago when he scored 18 Premier League goals. I mean, what we wouldn't give for that now. We didn't realize at the time that was sensational what he did for Manchester United. But we thought we needed a different type of striker, a striker who could press. And yes, that is important, especially in today's modern game. But to be able to score goals is just something that is very difficult to buy. World-class strikers, there's not many of them out there. Isak is probably the most sort of leading world-class striker that we have in the Premier League at the minute. After that, there's not, I mean, Salah, but he's more of a winger. But yeah, he is He's sensational. I'm a United fan, so it hurts me to say that, but I will. If you take your United hat off and put your football hat on, Salah's class. Haaland, he needs service. He used to be at Dortmund. I think he played a different style of football. I think he maybe created some more of his own goals. But I think since he's moved to City and in the system that Pep plays, he relies on service. And if he doesn't get the service, it's hard for him. So I think Rasmus is in a similar kind of position. Not that I'm saying he's anything like Højlund, but I do believe that, service to a striker is a must. And if he doesn't get any, it's hard. It's really, really difficult. But I do appreciate that strikers have got to be able to kind of sometimes make their own goals. Martial could do that, because he had the skill, the trickery. Sometimes it just didn't work for him. Sometimes he was injured, which was really frustrating. And other times it just looked like he wasn't interested. But I don't quite buy into that narrative. I do think that he was interested. I think there were, maybe not towards the end, but I think there was definitely stages of the when he played for Manchester United where he was class. He unfortunately dropped off. Injuries killed him, and now he's doing it in the Greece league. But that's the way it goes. So, as I said, obviously the second quote that came out, there was another quote that came out from Rubin Amorim, and he says he's a character. Players with that kind of character from that country, they always want more. They want more to score. If they feel the critics, it's good. It's a good thing. But he will have to improve. So I think Rubin Amorim can see a player in him. I think Rubin Amorim knows there's a good player in Rasmus. But I think he also understands that he is really struggling. And now there was not controversy, but there was a lot of talk about, obviously, players who didn't play in the match had to go through a full training session after the game on Friday night. So, and apparently Rasmus was kind of part of that. Now, there wasn't much details on it, but there were images out there of Rasmus having to maybe do a full training session after. And there's two sides to this. Two people are going to go in on Rasmus and say, he needs to, fair play to Ruben Amorim for making him do it. Now, I don't know if it's a good idea. Time will tell. I'm not saying he shouldn't do it, but what I will say is I do believe that Ruben Amorim's a young coach. He is a coach that's going to make mistakes. And maybe a few more mistakes than maybe some kind of more experienced coaches. As good as he is, and as much as we want him to do well, and as much as the fan base is behind him, and I'm not knocking him for it at all, but he is a young manager. He's surrounded by his loyal people. And a lot of them are quite young, so he's going to make mistakes. He's in the Premier League, the hardest league in the world, so he's going to find it difficult from time to time to get all those decisions right. So I think he's saying that Rasmus has the character, but now he's got to step up to the plate. And I think, in fairness, Rasmus has got between now and the end of the season to show what he can do. Let's talk about maybe if it doesn't work for him, maybe it's a case of potentially a loan deal for Rasmus to go out on, find his feet, like Harry Kane did. Obviously, Rasmus is in a slightly different position. Kane came through Spurs Academy, so he didn't cost him anything. Obviously, we've paid a lot of money for Rasmus, and we're hoping for a return. And whether Manchester United can afford to sell him, I don't know. Whether they're going to make a massive loss on PSR in the summer, I don't know whether we can actually do that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens between now and the end of the season. I hope he finds a way to turn it around. And if he doesn't, maybe a worst case scenario, it is a loan out just to see if he can find his form somewhere else. And either maybe it is a case of we end up selling him on, or that he comes back to Manchester United and he kind of flourishes again. But yeah, either way, it's going to be a tricky one. And then there was just another quote from Ruben Amorim, and I thought this was very honest. And he talked about the fact that he said this season can't be saved with a cup, but now how can I see football and I can see Manchester United? Sorry, I misread that. This season can't be saved with a cup. It's not how I see football. And it's how I see Manchester United. Sorry, guys. But yeah, so obviously what he's saying there is Erik ten Hag decided that some of his flaws were covered up by his trophy wins, and I was a big part of that. I enjoyed the trophy wins. I thought he did really well with them. But yeah, they didn't really cover up the issues in the league. And the league, we were slipping. I mean, obviously we've slipped even further, but that's where we are with it now. So Ruben is very, very honest about it. He wants to make it work. He wants to find a way to get the league performances up, and maybe off the back of that improve too. But I thought it was very honest of him. again, I love what I hear from him, and I just hope that hopefully moving forward he can find a way to make this work for everyone, club, fans, himself, and getting the team playing at a better level. And I'm not even talking about the ultimate level, because he needs his players to do that, and he has to be backed. And if he doesn't get backed, then how it's very difficult to judge him. We can judge him, but I don't know if it's right to judge him when he hasn't got barely a single player that he wants. Dorgru, yes, but that's one player. He needs many, many more, unfortunately. So it's going to be difficult to trudge. We'll judge him. People will. People are probably already calling for him to get sacked. I think that's a little bit short-sighted at this stage. I think if we judge him at the end of next season when he's got some of his own players in and he's had more time with these players, I think we can take it from there. But up until that point, I think he deserves more time. Okay, guys, and then the final one. Please let me know your thoughts. Are you Højlund in? Are you Højlund loan? Are you Højlund? Where would you like to see Højlund go? Would you like to see him on the bench more? Would you like to see him loaned out? Would you like to see him sold? Will he, can we sell him for money? Would someone like West Ham come in and buy him? Please drop your comments in below and let me know what you're thinking. And then the final one is again, sort of off the back of the Højlund talk. Manchester United will consider a move for striker Liam Delap if they can't sign Gyökeres or Osimhen in the summer. And that's coming from Give Me Sport. So, there's a lot going on. Where do you sit with Delap? I mean, Delap, is he an upgrade on Højlund? He's done well at Ipswich. I think he scored 9 or 10 Premier League goals so far, which is very impressive. He's young, but again, we've got the issues of if we buy him from Ipswich, then there's a sell-on clause to Manchester City. So obviously, City will make money off the back of that. Can he step into Manchester United's team and do the business? Interesting to see whether he can, because again, there's a lot of pressure on that jersey. He's younger than Rasmus, I think. So even if he did come in and Rasmus was here, I'm not sure how Rasmus would feel about that. That could be an interesting one. But yeah, me, Gyökeres or Osimhen, only because I think they're better strikers. But of course, they are in respect that they're older. They've got more experience. They've been around the world. They've seen a little bit more. So I think their experience would really help us find some balance up front and at least give us an idea whether the graveyard shift is a graveyard shift. Because if either of those two come in and we're still in the graveyard shift and they're not getting any service, we know they're good strikers. So we know that it's then down to whether the wingers, whoever's playing in the 10s or whoever's playing out wide, isn't giving service to the strikers. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Sorry guys, my kids are singing away in the background, so I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Keith. Please give me a like and subscribe if you like it. Okay, and I'll see you soon. See you tomorrow. Cheers.